Hey guys, Distler Magic here, and I've got some funny news, but first I gotta tell this in order. Funny thing happened in Conspiracy when we were opening it at my local gaming store. A whole bunch of the cards, well, basically all of them, anything printed with like a dark shadow, was so dark you couldn't see a damn thing. I mean, it was like go into Photoshop, turn the brightness down 30%. It was like dark. Like the card Regicide, she was gone. She was not there. It was like a floating knife. It was just jet black. You couldn't make out anything. And the funny thing is then people took like 5 seconds to jokingly accuse them of some kind of racism because, you know. I have a theory about this, but I'll get back to that. You may or may not have noticed that the Monarch token in that set had a writing error on it. I can't really call it a spelling error. It was a writing error, editing error, whatever. The card states, at the beginning your end step, comma, at least they remember the comma, draw a card, and then whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, comma, its controller becomes the Monarch, period. So, no punctuation, nothing missing, just, the word of. No biggie. Now I thought, wait a minute, this is Conspiracy. Now if you remember way back when they announced it, I wasn't paying that close of attention because Conspiracy draft, I hate draft, I suck at it, it's not playable in standard, who cares? Once I saw the spoilers, I'm like, dude, this set freaking rocks. Like this looks like a hoot to play. I mean, I'll draft it. I suck at draft, I hate it, but these cards are some of my all-time favorites. So totally got into it, totally liked it. But way back before I gave a crap, they had like King Brago or whatever his name was. They said, yeah, hey, King Brago invites you to the something, whatever. I don't know. I barely read it. And then they like had like a fake like revision where it's like they made a mistake. And they're like, oh, due to some untimely events, King Brago has died. And they made it look like they were correcting like their like incorrect press release or whatever. It was really funny. Since it was all like on their official channels and on like Facebook and stuff, it kind of had like an alternate reality game vibe to it, and I just think that kind of stuff's hilarious. So with, the usual way that they just hype cards, hype the set, oh my god, the storyline, woo, oh my gosh, let's, reveal a giant card at PAX, and oh my god, it's like we just found the missing link. Nobody gets into that. I don't get into it. I don't care. I hate trickle marketing. I hate hype marketing. It's so stupid. But Conspiracy, they nailed it. So obviously they were going flavor, flavor, mystery, conspiracy, and then they had like the really cool events and stuff that they threw. They were getting way into it, and I thought, wait a minute. Remember the clues from Shadows over Innistrad, and then they were like leaking little hints about like, oh, you have to involve the clue cards in the artwork. And then it was like the Tamiyo's journal was printed multiple different times, and people realized that soon after pre-release because they're like, hey, look at mine, hey, look at yours. Whoa, different flavor text on the same card. That means they printed the same card multiple times. Why would they do that? And then it turned out like the words were from a journal entry or something about numbers and 3 digits, whatever. So it turned out it spelled like a mystery thing. Like you took one of each word and it spelled something that indicated that Emrakul might be in the next set. And then, ta-da, she showed up. So, I mean, that's so much smarter than the normal marketing tactics. And I thought, okay, Conspiracy seems really, like, the same. Like, it's awfully familiar. It's the same type of marketing thing. And I thought, wait a minute. The Monarch token itself is missing the word of. Maybe other cards are missing a word. So I looked at all the cards, researched it, saw if something was missing from, like, the artwork in case they were doing, like, like a word thing where it was going to be a couple words missing. And okay, this is going to be mind-blowing. Are you ready for this? The reason that the word of is missing is because the person who proofreads it is an idiot. I know, right? It took so much research and stuff for me to figure that out. I was so excited when I came upon that revelation and got absolutely nowhere with any other leads. So between that and the fact that it was printed completely jet black at least my local gaming store, I haven't really heard about anybody else getting a set like that. I'm sure somebody somewhere did. It's like Wizards just doesn't care anymore, and obviously that's reading too much into it, potentially. But I mean, they do one thing. I mean, you could say, okay, MTGO, okay, and they have like a PR department, and God knows they're not doing their job. R&D, don't even get me started. Marketing, kind of love-hate. It's usually a third party, honestly. But it's like their one product besides digital stuff is the cards. Print them correctly and make sure they're spelled correctly. I mean, they've got people very carefully translating them into other languages, making sure that they're phrased correctly. They even made sure that the clue puzzle worked in other languages. I mean, that's how hard they try, and then you get the Monarch card. And misprints, I'm no stranger to misprints, okay? I have a huge collection of misprints. I've got smudged, blurred, double printed, backwards mirror printed. I mean, you name it, I've got it. Actually, that's not true. I don't have a 50-50 card. Totally wish I did. But, you know, those are really rare, although I will say with Oath of the Gatewatch, about a quarter of my uncommons, which is, you know, a couple thousand, were cut about 8 millimeters to the left. I mean, almost right off the border. You could see the white marks and everything. It was terrible. Aren't those white marks for alignment? Don't they have optics in the chopper? I mean, come on. Now, I used to work at a graphics facility, so I know that as soon as something starts going wrong, you say, nope, ditch them, put them in the recycle pile, recalibrate the machine, and start over. And that was pretty good for us considering we were basically paid minimum wage. Oh, and it was about 110 degrees with no air conditioning in July, and I worked on top the heat press. But hey, quality control, that was our job. And trust me, our job was really boring. But that leads me to a theory about at least how the cards got really dark. I think for security reasons, the cards are printed, cut, transported, and pretty much everything else face down. Maybe there's like one person that checks them for quality, and apparently they weren't doing their job. But, yeah, I mean, like I've said this in another video, but I'll repeat it. We were doing, like, SpongeBob books. That was one example of what we were doing, and we were, like, fusing some things to the cover of the book. I could recreate the cover of that book without even trying. And it's not like I was sitting there like, yes, I'm going to memorize this SpongeBob book cover. No, I just spent 8 hours a day staring at it with nothing to do. It was the most boring job ever. We weren't allowed to have headphones, nothing. You would just stare at the machine for 8 hours and like feed the hopper and make sure they come out correctly, then put them in boxes. And when a box was full, you put it on the pallet. And when a pallet was full, woo! It's like Christmas. We get to see the forklift come and fork it over to the saran wrap machine, which spins it around and wraps it up. Pretty much the coolest thing that happened today. Which tells you why I only worked there for about a month and a half. Would I ever work there again? I think I'd rather go back to my old local gaming store and play a 24-hour marathon of Yu-Gi-Oh! With all of the fired judges. But I guarantee you, if I was working at the printing facility that ran off the sheets of Magic cards, I would have every single one of those cards in alphabetical order, word for word, memorized whether I wanted to or not, and so would everybody around me. So what would we do after we get home from our miserable crap job? We would leak that information to any high bidder, or a low bidder, or anybody who would trade me a sandwich. I would leak that crap for a sandwich. It would have to be a pretty good sandwich, but I would do it. So would anybody else. So my theory is that when it comes to color misprints, smudges, that kind of stuff that you wouldn't necessarily notice, they're printed face down. Just a theory though, although I have to move on to the next notorious misprint. You guys knew this was coming. And there's a bonus ending that I guarantee you haven't heard about because this is so funny. So funny. I mean, I would say this qualifies as legendary in MTG historical lore. You may or may not have heard 6 days ago about a little printing flaw in Kaladesh. If you haven't, I'll put a link to the page in the description after I forget to do that and then somebody reminds me in the comment section. And you're actually going to need to go there, and you'll see why in a second. As they put it in the press release, unfortunately, energy counter token cards were inadvertently omitted from the initial print run of Kaladesh. They will appear in subsequent print runs. Then, of course, it goes on to say, so in the meantime, please use this downloadable energy counter token. Lovely little JPEG that they threw together. Being an expert in Photoshop, I can tell you that they did it really quickly. Seriously, they rushed the hell out of this. They just used stock, emboss, just cut out, who cares about shadowing, don't even adjust the lighting percentage, throw it up, throw it on the website. So apparently they noticed the printing flaw and were like, yeah, we gotta fix this. Photoshop dude, you've got like 10 minutes. Well, get out your scissors because it's arts and crafts time. What you're supposed to do with this little graphic they made is print it out and it counts as your energy reserve area, I guess. Scaled up and printed at 8.5 by 11, those are, I don't know, I think they're approximately like 5 inches, so they're bigger than most tokens, but I guess you would like put dice in it or put counters or glass beads or whatever you want to use, you know, people got cool counters, and that will be your energy reserve. Honestly, I think that's cooler than just like tokens, which my local gaming store, they knew about the problem. They said they're going to use Pokemon energy cards. That's pretty cool. But Wizards obviously did this to save face. It was just a rush out at the last second thing. I think it's cool regardless, but it is really funny that they screwed up this badly. I mean, like I said, they do one thing, pretty much. They make cards. So if they can't put the right cards in the right pack or whatever, that's pretty sad. They can't proofread their cards. They can't spell them correctly. I mean, come on. It really doesn't give the impression that they're the biggest, most successful, most popular trading card game. I mean, it really, really does not help their image. So anyway, if you feel like it, you're supposed to print these out, cut them out, bring them to the pre-release. Otherwise, they say at the bottom of the page, and, well, are you ready for the twist ending? Because this is some funny crap. On the bottom of that very web page, which was covering up one of their printing mistakes, it states, word for word, I'm just going to read this exactly as they printed it. I think you know what's coming at this point. Check with your local game store, which honestly, I don't know about that phrasing, to see if they have these energy counter token on hand during Kaladesh events. So you guys will have to see if they have these token, not tokens, token. And if you're looking at it right now, you may notice there's two of them in the graphic. I don't think they meant to say token. I mean, I'm looking at two right now. When I printed them off of my ghetto crap printer, they look like completely washed out monochrome crap. That's my printer. That's not on them. That's me. There were two of them. It would actually be pretty hard to purposely print one. Okay, I'm giving them a hard time here, but to come off of the Monarch misprint, or, well, editing error, whatever you want to call it, and then at least the conspiracy cards I saw were like turbo black, then they forget to put the energy counter tokens in the actual product for pre-release and I guess the first run of booster packs, and then on the correction, they have a spelling error. I mean, you cannot make this up. Like, this is like top-level sitcom writing right here. You know what I compare this to? Okay, this would be like a politician says something super, like, off-color in a speech or to a reporter or something, and then during the apology and correction, they pretty much just do it again. And then, like, accidentally tweet out something racist after that. Wizards just keep screwing up. It's like they're, like, chaining these together. And, you know, anybody can get away with, like, one editing error, one spelling error, whatever. But I will say that, as far as I know, the only other spelling error ever was in Unsummon, I think it was, from, like, Alpha, maybe Beta. I feel like there were probably other typos in other cards that I didn't catch, maybe in other languages, but I've never heard of them. So, to my knowledge, they've only ever made two mistakes ever. But, you know, recently, holy crap, have they been screwing up. The Fat Pack numbers for BFZ, the Fat Pack numbers that they should have adjusted for in Oath of the Gatewatch. And then, oops, they accidentally forgot to put the energy counters in, and oops, we spelled Monarch wrong. Oops, our apology and correction, that's a stretch, it absolutely was not an apology. Our correction press release has a spelling error in it. Holy crap, I mean, it's just not helping their company image. I have to honestly ask the question at this point, do they even give a crap anymore? Is their quality slipping? Is this just bad luck? Did they just, is it just like bad luck? Somebody missed it? All these things just happened in sequence and it's the worst sequence of bad luck ever? Or do they really sincerely not give a crap anymore about their jobs? Now, I will say that out of all the books I've read, I used to read books and then 11th grade ruined that forever. I have quite literally not read a book since. But before that, I read a couple hundred books and I mean, 1 out of 30, 1 out of 50 maybe had a typo in it. A couple had like 2. You know, whatever. But they have a hell of a lot more words in the average book than there is in these cards, and the cards are arguably more important. I mean, in a novel, all they're selling you is the written word, so I kind of get it, kind of the same thing, but come on. It's not like they're not a big enough company with a big enough budget to hire like 2 proofreaders. Evidently, Conspiracy 2 went to like The Intern or something, though. I don't know. I have no idea how that happened. All I know is that even a semi-professional editor knows to read backwards. If you want to catch things that aren't typically caught by the human brain and are filled in automatically by your reading subroutines in your brain, read everything backwards, then you'll catch the phrasing errors. That's like 8th grade level crap. And if you're about to type down in the comment section, Deslater, who are you to talk about editing? I used to be a paid editor, moderator, and writer from one of the biggest companies in the world. So that definitely qualifies me to pick a little fun at Wizards for this horrific series of mistakes, although that's a little much. They could have, like, accidentally printed something way worse on a card, or, like, screwed up some artwork, or, like, left something in, or, yeah. These are pretty innocent and pretty mundane as far as, you know, printing errors that I've seen. I think it was, I'm not even going to say the company name, but somebody translated all their products because they were launching in Brazil, and they translated them into Spanish. Brasil no se habla español, se hablan Portuguese. Oops, somebody didn't do their job very well and had to recall $10 million worth of products. And of course, Wizards handled it a little bit differently. They're like, here, arts and crafts time. Cut out your own damn counters. So anyway, I'm not serious about this entire video. I just think, okay, it's really, really bad for their image to just constantly, every single one in a row, make mistakes like this. This is unbelievable. This is what I would expect from a brand new company. But I mean, from just image, just what I've seen and heard and everything, and just I'm processing all their PR, all their releases, everything. They give way more of a crap about like fake marketing and looking diverse and SJW rights and all this other crap than they do about their actual product. That's the impression I'm getting. I'm sure it's massively inaccurate, but that's the impression I'm getting, and that's the impression everybody else is getting. That cannot possibly be good for business, so I hope the next 10 sets are absolutely flawless. But considering Eldritch Moon was massively mappable and they accidentally put basically the vast majority of the mythics in the same artwork per box, how many would that actually be in a row now? Let me think about this. 4 product releases in a row if you don't count from the vault, and honestly I don't know that that didn't have a printing error in it. So before I end this video, I have to point out one just legendary printing error. I had heard that in Alpha, in fact I think it was the same card, I think it was on Summon, they like got the artist's name wrong or something like that, like they like spelled it wrong. I don't know if that's true or not, I know I heard it somewhere, but that would have been so much worse. So Wizards, you screwed up 4 sets in a row, but it could have been worse. Well, that concludes this video. I'll see you guys next video.